I want to talk about the number one tool that you have as an artist, and that is your individuality. I use a lot of different watercolor palettes. These are some of them. This is for a specific class that I'm teaching. It's Found and Curated. It's a year-long class, but it is a palette specific for what I want. This is another palette that I have different brands of paint in here, and it's just trying to get me used to trying other brands because I kind of get stuck in a rut once I find a palette that I really like. And then this is my studio palette. It's updated, there's videos on this, and I am constantly playing with color. By that I mean I am trying different things. My tastes have changed. My voice and my style is changing. It's like a constant evolution, and I love that. But what I see a lot of artists do is they want to copy exactly like what is on my palette. That is a great way to learn, but you kind of get used to what I'm doing instead of what you're doing. I thought it would be interesting for you to see my progress and how it's worked and the different ways that I mix and match to discover new colors. Because believe me, when I found these colors, all of these really light colors by American Journey, I was thrilled because I didn't have to add a lot of water and create them myself. They're kind of a shortcut. However, any of these colors, any of these darker colors, if you just keep adding water, you will get a pastel version. And I think we always forget that because we want exactly what everyone else has. And that can be a big stumbling block. When I am doing color mixing, I want you to follow along, of course, because it is a great way to experiment with trial and error. So maybe I'm using Naples yellow, but you don't have Naples yellow. So use some kind of other yellow. Use a yellow ochre or use a Hansa yellow or a nickel titanate. It doesn't matter the specifics. What matters is that you're trying new things. So let me explore this with you. My very first palette was from 2017 in watercolor. It was a limited palette. I've talked about this before. But what I always do when I make a palette is I give myself a big palette to see what this can do. So mixing buff titanium with each of these colors will give me this entire row. Mixing nickel azo yellow with all of these other colors will give me this kind of row. I need to be able to understand what my colors will do for me. And as an artist, that is your number one superpower. When you know what you can get out of 12 colors, and you have this many possibilities, I just want you to see what benefits that has. My next palette was this one. And you can see, look at the big change from here to here. It went much brighter. I've got some colors in here like opera pink and Hansa yellow that's very bright, quin coral. But what I did there also was I made another color chart. This one had 18 colors, so it has a little bit bigger color chart. But I want you to see the possibilities here. I wouldn't have known what my 18 colors would have done unless I made a color chart. Yes, I can sit and play and experiment, but I like to know what each color mixed with each color gives me. And you can see my first palette to this palette, look at all these brights that I'm able to create here. Now I can honestly say from this palette to my next, it was the brights that I wanted to be finished with. I wasn't using them as much. I found that I was always trying to mute them down. So when I developed my new 2024 palette, I wanted to go a little richer, a little darker, a little moodier in my selections. So this palette became this palette. Do you see the difference? Look at how rich this looks and look at how bright this one looks. So this palette gives me this kind of colorways. Again, it's 18 colors, but look at the difference here. And right now I'm really into these darker colors. They are solving a lot of solutions for me. By not having to mute, I'm already able to just grab and go instead of think about, okay, I need to mute it with a complementary color, or I need to mute it with my buff or lavender or something like that. It gives me a way to just pull right away, mix two colors and play. Where something like this, you can see the difference here versus here. This, I was always having to tone it down with some kind of darker color or a definitely muted color or a complementary color. And I just got tired of always muting it down instead of just finding it uniquely on my palette at one time. So that's what this palette offers. And this is what I mean by finding what you like and by experimenting. That for me is the most delightful thing of being an artist, because each of us are different. Each of us are individual, and we all respond to color differently. I'm not really a pink person, so you can see I don't have many pinks. I'm not really a purple person. I've got a few pinks and a few purples, but I don't have a lot. I am more about earth tones and things like this up here and through here. These are where I find the most joy when I'm painting. And again, this is an individual thing. So let me show you what I've done in a couple books of color mixing. I have a whole little series where I've used the color cube cards, where we've played with mixing the colors, and then I've done a little piece of art with the colors we mixed. Now this is great because it teaches you how to use your palette. So if this is something that you want to learn, it's great to stick to one palette, to do a lot of different mixes, try different color mixes, and see how close you can come. I am never looking for perfection. What I'm looking for is a palette like this will get me out of my comfort zone for sure, because of the pinks, this like uglyish pea soup green, and then this kind of purpley chocolate. This was something that really tried my patience with color mixing, but I was really excited once I got close. And that was this one here. So you can see, are they perfect? Absolutely not, but they're close enough and I can mix them with my palette. That's what matters to me. So even if you don't have the colors that I have, you do have a palette that you use. So start playing with it and seeing what it will do for you, because it is a game changer. I also did the 100-day project where I took three random colors from my palette. So like this one, the one in the middle here, and here. And I saw what they would do with each other. And then once I had this, I created art with some of my favorite color mixes. You can see the value here because you are picking random three colors. And even if you go through your palette with, say, like this color, this color, this color, and then change just these two colors every time, keeping this consistent, it's going to allow you to see the differences that your palette makes for you. This is all online. I've got the 100-day project playlist. And again, it's just me picking three random colors and seeing what they will do. It is that simple. Do not think of color mixing or experimenting like this as a waste of paint or a waste of time, because this little book here is how I grew the most in my second year of watercolor. Something like this was invaluable to my growth because I started understanding what the colors would do. I understood that the purple will mute it, the green will make it a little more intense, and then this brown here just dulls it. And when you have that kind of knowledge just from three simple colors and watching them change to brightness and dullness and intensity and lack of intensity, you're going to really see how it improves your painting. I've also shared this book with color mixing, where I had bought a palette and then I used one color here in the middle and I tried it with the other colors. So I wanted to see what this color would do with four of the other colors from the palette. So I started with this color and then I mixed it with this. So this plus this equals this. 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 it's a way to take one color and see what the 4 other colors will do for it. And once I did that, I was able to create a little painting using what color mixes I wanted. I wanted it to feel very fallish, but I wanted to have fun with colors. And you can see it did just that. It let me play around and explore color mixes. Who knew that this beautiful leaf would come from this kind of dark and gloomy palette? That's what I mean, experiment. Here I'm using the same premise as I did with my 100-day project. I had found a picture of a crabapple, so I pulled colors that I thought would match, and then I wanted to see what some of the colors mixed would do, because I was looking for this more purpley kind of cranberry color, and sometimes I don't like to use just a solid color like this. So just mixing this with this was not enough, but mixing this, and this was enough to give me a lot of variety for my crab apples. And then this turned into a piece like this. From this, I was able to add all of the colors here, and it gave me a way to understand what the dark and the light was, how I could change the color kind of easily. And by doing the water splashes like I do here, I was able to see the darkness and the lightness of the color that it creates. So when I'm splashing here, I get that automatic light and dark. So think of like dappled sunlight, which I love. So that gave me an opportunity to play with that and just see what I could come up with. So I want you to just look at your palette from now on. Don't look at anyone else's, just yours. And when someone is using a yellow, I want you to just start using a yellow. If someone's mixing that with an orange and you don't have orange, mix red and yellow together to get an orange. By experimenting this way, you develop your own kind of color sense and your own style, because no one has a palette of these exact colors. They were hand chosen by me because they fit my needs as an artist. So I hope that by learning to color mix and me showing you all these different ways and all these different palettes, I hope you're excited to dive into your own watercolor palette and just play. Growth is about playing, experimentation, and practice. Without it, we remain the same. With it, we blossom, and the possibilities are endless. If you were inspired by today's video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.